Welcome to Life L'Chaim. On today's show, we'll talk about Boys Town, Jerusalem, and meet its executive director, Gary Arnowitz, and board members Jeffrey Herman and Stephen Fisk. Right after these messages.
With us in studio today is Gary Arnowitz. Gary is Executive Director of Boys Town, Jerusalem. Gary, welcome very much. Welcome to L'Chaim.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Lee.
Gary, you are Executive Director of Boys Town, Jerusalem. When most of us think of Boys Town, we think of Spencer Tracy and Mickey Rooney, the film from 1938. Tell us about Boys Town, Jerusalem.
Boys Town, Jerusalem was founded in 1948, 63 years ago, for the boys who came to Israel as the remnants of the Holocaust, as well as the boys who came to Israel from the 7 Arab countries that attacked Israel in 1948 when the State of Israel was declared. We started on a hilltop in a trailer with our founding dean, Rabbi Avraham Lynchner, of blessed memory, and 12 boys. Today we're in Bayit Vagan, and I'm proud to tell you we sit on 18 acres with 850 boys studying on our campus.
And the school was originally formed as a technological school to give the kids some kind of trade. And today it's grown to what type of school for the kids?
Today what we are emphasizing, Lee, is high tech. That is really the future of Israel. We are the only school in Israel where a high school student can get a major in computer communications. This is a joint program between Sun Microsystems and the Cisco Corporation. And that is really what we're focused on, just giving these boys an education so when they graduate, after they do their compulsory military service, they have a trade and they can support themselves.
What's special about Boys Town, Jerusalem is that it takes orphan kids or kids from severely poor socioeconomic backgrounds and gives them an opportunity to excel. So talk a little bit more about the types of kids that you have in school and how you provide really a changed life for them.
The types of boys that we have in the school, 80 to 90% of them come from homes with very, very serious socioeconomic problems with all kinds of abuse, whether it's substance, whether it's physical, whether it's verbal, whether they are social orphans, which means if their parents are on the scene that they are not capable of parenting and they've given the boys to Boys Town, Jerusalem to really raise their kids for them.
And each kid has an obligation for community service in terms of what they provide to their area of Israel.
Our curriculum includes community service. Before Passover, before Pesach this past year, we had our boys packing by hand 3,000 kosher Passover packages to be delivered to the hungry Jews in Jerusalem, which to me is pretty amazing when you consider the circumstances that these boys came from, that they're learning at this age that they need to give back. And to address your earlier question, this is how they become responsible citizens of Israeli society.
And in the times that, in the years that Boys Town has been in existence, you have over 6,500 graduates who are involved in all walks of life throughout Israel.
Lee, anywhere you go in Israeli society, if you look at the upper echelon, you are going to find our boys. We're talking about the head engineer now at Intel Israel, who as we sit here speaking is developing the next generation chip, which is going to be released. We're talking about the former Attorney General of the State of Israel. We're talking about 250 career officers. We are talking about the head of IT, of Internet Technology at Coca-Cola Israel. Throughout Israeli society, our boys are in leadership positions.
So the school at your present site has been in existence for how long?
40 years.
And what are some of the projects that you are looking to accomplish going forward?
The biggest project, Lee, that we're looking for now is to find a person or a group of people to help us to redo the physical structure of our school, and in exchange we would be naming the school after them.
Very nice. And what are some of the other projects that you want to work on for the benefit of the school?
For the benefit of the school, we're always interested in engaging people in visiting the school while they're over in Israel. We can arrange VIP visits for them. We can arrange hands-on experiences where they do some sort of repairing the world Tikkun Olam projects together with our boys. In addition, we do have opportunities for people that want to partner with our boys on their bar or bat mitzvah project for the younger people.
As you mentioned, that students come from all over the world. You have Ethiopian Jews that are at your school, boys from former Soviet Union bloc countries. How do they all get along?
We have, as you said, Lee, we have boys from 5 foreign countries. They make up about 33% of our student population. The FSU, the former Soviet Union, Ethiopia, France, Spain, and Iran. They all get along very well. We have counselors that work with these boys. We, in addition, have mentors, other students that we hook them up with. In addition, we have social workers on staff and guidance counselors on staff, not only for our new immigrant loan students who have come to our campus without their parents from those 5 countries throughout the world, but in addition for our Israeli students who I mentioned earlier, bring all that baggage that we need to address. We're talking about kids from underprivileged backgrounds where there's a lot of anger and different kinds of emotional issues to deal with, and we help them address those and get past them.
And it's a long education day.
It is a long education day. The day normally in Israel, as an American, the public school system gets out at 1 o'clock. I'm very proud to sit here and share with you that our boys are there till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. In addition to giving them a great education, we give them 3 square kosher nutritional meals a day. As far as after-school activities, tutorial help from older boys is included at no cost. A plethora of extracurricular activities, whether it's track, whether it's taekwondo, whether it's robotics, whether it's learning guitar, or whether it's weightlifting. What we do is we give them the extracurricular activities that are not part of their regular academic curriculum.
And Gary, if our audience wanted to get involved and donate to Boys Town Jerusalem, how would they go about that?
They could contact me at 305-654-0001 or our website, which is boystownjerusalem.org.
Very good. Well, Gary, we're going to be back and we're going to talk with a couple of your board members. So we'll be back with board member Jeffrey Herman right after these messages. We're back with attorney Jeffrey Herman. Jeffrey, you are a board member for Boys Town Jerusalem.
Yes.
And you've been involved with Boys Town for how long?
A little over 2 years.
And why did you get involved with Boys Town?
Well, I got involved through Gary Arnowitz, who's the director of Boys Town Jerusalem. I knew Gary previously from other philanthropic Jewish activities I've done in Miami.
And it strikes me when you get involved in an organization that's based in Israel, with all the opportunities for philanthropic organizations that I'm sure come your way, why Boys Town?
Well, for me, as an American Jew, I look for ways where I can where there's leverage, ways that I can leverage my involvement to help a broad spectrum of Jewish people around the world and locally. I think Boys Town gives me that kind of leverage. It is such an important organization when you really begin to understand what they do, and the graduates who come from Boys Town Jerusalem are becoming leaders in Israel. They're becoming generals and officers in the military. They're becoming key executives at many high-tech companies in Israel. So I think by supporting Boys Town Jerusalem, we're helping in some way contributing to future leaders of Israel.
Was there a moment of that passion that struck you as to, can you remember that? Because I'm sure Gary, who's very assertive in terms of getting out the story of Boys Town, what was that moment of passion?
Right. For me, it was when I understood the history of Boys Town, which is that, Boys Town was created after the Holocaust. It was created for the orphan boys coming out of the Holocaust in Israel who had no families. And so all of a sudden, there's this organization, Boys Town Jerusalem, which became really the families for these boys and also their education. And so to me, that's where it begins, and that is where I found my passion.
And some of the students, are students who have made an impact on you personally?
Yeah, sure. We had the opportunity to go and visit Boys Town Jerusalem and meet students who are really nice boys, and a lot of these kids are what we call social orphans in Israel, and there they are getting incredible education and talking about their future. I met a couple brothers who had come over from an Arab country and were there without their families, without their father in particular, but had found Boys Town Jerusalem to give them that family environment, and so they were looking forward to doing great things with their lives.
And you and a fellow board member who we'll talk to in just a little bit, Stephen Fisk, you both led a mission in which you took a week out of your busy lives to go to Boys Town Jerusalem, and you took obviously a number of men with you.
Right.
What was that experience like? How did it come about, and what was it like?
Well, Steve Fisk and also Glenn Moses, that was our third chair with us, and myself put together this trip of about 20 men. And we decided we wanted to go and see Boys Town Jerusalem firsthand. We knew about it, reading about it, and hearing about it, Skyping with some of the boys over there, but never really seeing it firsthand.
So you weren't on the board at that moment?
I was on the board, but we had never actually visited the campus.
Gotcha.
So we went and we did this trip in Israel where we did other things, but also spent a lot of time visiting Boys Town Jerusalem, and we had the opportunity to meet not just the students but also graduates, which is incredible because you can really see it coming full circle. And there was one particular man who I met who was an Ethiopian Jew, and for me it was very interesting because years and years ago I'd been to Israel to one of these camps where these young Ethiopians had come and were living, and I met a boy. Several boys, but kids who were there and had just come from Ethiopia, did not speak the language. When I was at Boys Town Jerusalem, I met a graduate who was an Ethiopian Jew that had now gone to Boys Town Jerusalem, graduated, and was now in med school and on his way to become a doctor in Israel. So really for me it was full circle.
And I know what struck from doing some of the research on the organization, what struck me is obviously the background of a lot of the kids that are there and what they've gone on to accomplish. And I know you spoke to that a little bit, but tell us more about some of those kids who you've met.
Right. Well, I think the bottom line here is that but for Boys Town Jerusalem, a lot of these kids would get lost in the system. In other words, these kids come from backgrounds where they're social orphans, and without a Boys Town Jerusalem, they would really end up doing things that weren't necessarily being positive things for themselves and for Israel. But because of Boys Town Jerusalem, they're put on a path where they get a great education, they get great ethics, which is very important, they get a religious foundation, and then they grow up and become leaders of Israel. And so meeting these boys and seeing now they're on the right path and their energy and they're looking towards the future, it's a great situation. And this is one of the reasons that I really want to support this organization.
So when you look towards the future of Boys Town and what their needs are going forward, what are those projects that you like to support?
Well, they're underway now to try to revamp the dorms. They have a beautiful campus, a very large campus, but some of the facilities are getting older. And it's a school that relies so much on contributions to pay for the teachers and the food and provide this residential school facility for these kids. Most of these kids don't pay tuition, and so the money has to come from somewhere, which is why in Florida we got involved in an organization to help raise money to support these kids.
Very good. And I know you just alluded to that a great many of these kids receive scholarship and no one has ever been turned away.
Correct. And the kid, it's interesting because a lot of kids want to go to the school, but they look for kids where they really believe they're going to be successful. But any child that is qualified that wants to go there has a right to go there.
And when in taking a number of different men on the mission that you took a while back. What are some of the experiences that they participate in?
Well, we did all different kinds of things. Part of it was just really getting a chance to be in Israel and going to restaurants and seeing a lot of men that went on a trip had never been to Israel before. So for them, it was really great. But we spent a lot of time in Jerusalem. We went to, of course, to the Kotel and met, got to meet Israelis and just do all the things that are so wonderful in Israel to do.
If you could leave our viewers with one lasting impression of Boys Town, what would that be?
Well, it's an organization that's worth supporting. As an American Jew in particular, by giving to Boys Town Jerusalem, supporting it, we're really helping Israel. And I think it's important.
Very good. Jeffrey Herman, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll be right back to talk with Stephen Fisk right after these messages. With us in studio now is Stephen Fisk. Stephen, you are also a board member of Boys Town Jerusalem. Welcome
yes,
to L'chaim.
Yes, thank you so much. Welcome.
How did you get involved with Boys Town?
I got involved basically the same way that Jeff Herman did. Good friends with Gary Arnowitz from Mother Jewish Philanthropies in Miami. I've been involved in for quite some time, since actually my first trip, one of my first trips to Israel and Poland in the early '90s, and I just found it very worthwhile to be a board member and to help out.
Why Boys Town?
It's a good question. I have an opportunity, being so involved in South Florida, to pick many different organizations and political organizations, but I really like the idea of children, especially Israeli children, and what Boys Town does to elevate them to become positive, mature, successful citizens and adults in Israel.
I would imagine that you may get some criticism from people who say, well, why don't you put your resources towards some of the organizations that are based here? But there was obviously something that struck you about Boys Town that appealed to that emotional charge within you. What was that?
It's a philosophy, from the Torah, charity starts at home. So I strongly believe in that. But, quickly, it needs to move outward to out of the diaspora into our homeland. But Boys Town, like I said, it really connects very much to the future and the future of any society of their children. And with a country like Israel that has such immigration from so many different aspects and so many places in the world, you need a place like Boys Town as a catcher's net to filter and catch these boys that a lot of them are alone and or from really socially problematic families, and build them up and change them into this great adults.
When you speak about those individuals who've touched you, can you remember that first time that you visited? Some of the boys that really grabbed at your emotional heartstrings?
Absolutely. We were there with 20 others. I was there with my twin brother and some good friends. And when we entered one room with Ethiopians, and just think their parents never saw a computer, and they're in front of the computers and doing really amazing image changes, and this stuff for us, saying, wow, these kids are really really superb. And then we went to another room with these two Russian boys that were brothers, and their families weren't with them, and manipulated a remote control toy car and moved it with a phone on the car and a phone in his hand, and they have these projects and the competitions. And it was just amazing. And then you wonder, now you want to know why Israel is in the leading technological edge of the world, because of programs and schools like this.
Right. And, with the opportunity that you have to engage in a lot of different philanthropic efforts, when you see Boys Towns, do you concur with both Gary and Jeffrey in terms of the needs going forward for the school?
Yeah, I really do. It's been around since Israel's existence. So therefore, it needs to continually update. And not only the buildings, which we need to repair, to replace, but when you're in a technological school such as that, computers we know change so rapidly. So they really need to stay ahead and to educate their kids well. So there's such a great need because what they do is so awesome.
And as a board member, what are your responsibilities here in the States?
We needed to go to Israel and see the actual campus to really effectively speak to others. We reach out. We have a Lador Society. It's a minor gift, a 3-year gift of $600 a year for the $1,800. A chai, the multiple chai, and we are asking people that we know, our friends and associates and others that are involved in the community, to step up and start getting involved in Boys Town, more in Israel. And we're having a great success with it.
I know one of the things when I've read itineraries of the past and certainly itineraries of going forward is that you get to meet a lot of the graduates and what their current roles are, from mayors of cities to certainly IDF members, the responsibilities that IDF members have in their particular areas. Tell us a little bit about those experiences.
Well, we were very fortunate. We had a dinner in Jerusalem with several of the graduates, and one in particular is from Intel, and it was amazing to hear his stories of how he became involved and success and the hierarchy that he was in Intel, and along with an Ethiopian young boy that just got married in his 20s and is just about to finish medical school. And he is the first Ethiopian that actually in Israel that is completing medical school and served already in the army. Most deferred their army to go to medical school, but he felt, and he learned this from Boys Town, Jerusalem, that it's compulsory service, you must serve your country. And then he went to become a doctor, and it's just awe-inspiring to watch this happen.
And I know when I did some research prior to our discussions today, went online and reviewed some of the videos, and I know there's a video online called Hope that really paints a picture for what's involved, how it started, and the level of commitment from the dean of the current school. And I know he spoke of one experience in which the mother asked him to adopt one of the boys. And so the level of involvement of those who are at the schools, the mentors at the schools, seems incredible.
Yeah, it's almost like a family. And if you've ever been to Israel, any of the viewers have been there, they know the feeling. You land on the tarmac and you're home, and it's a school that really feels and runs like a family. And like I said to the participants, we're so lucky and fortunate for what we have and where we live, but this isn't our money. It's all borrowed and it's given as a gift, and we need to help children like this, and we have this wonderful opportunity, and we have to take advantage of it.
Very good. Thank you very much for joining us today, Stephen. It's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. Be well.
That's it for this edition. Don't forget to visit our Facebook page for all the latest news about our program. I'm Lee Lazarson. Thanks for joining us on To Life L'Chaim.